All the information shared in this video is available on the public platform. Nothing is discussed here which may breach the confidentiality of our armed forces. Defense Detective respects our defense forces and works only on the information that is available for public use.
In Bangladesh, targeting Hindus has now taken a new turn. After attacks on their homes and temples, efforts are being made to destroy their businesses. The Dhaka Tribune reported a rally in Dhaka calling for a boycott of restaurants that do not serve beef. This move directly targets Hindu restaurant owners under the pretext of beef consumption. The rally, organized by the Muslim Consumer Rights Council, took place in Old Dhaka. Participants carried banners with provocative slogans, such as cow dung or beef. During the rally, anti-India and anti-Hindu slogans were also chanted. The extremists leading the rally accused restaurants not serving beef of being agents of India and labeled them as Hindutwadis, urging people to boycott them. Chants like cow dung or beef, 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 beef were shouted, promoting beef consumption in a mocking manner. The convener of the organization stated that while eating beef is not mandatory for Muslims, it is a part of their identity. However, he provocatively added that because Hindus consider the cow sacred, it becomes an obligation for Muslims to eat beef. This rhetoric underscores how certain factions are weaponizing cultural and religious differences to further polarize society and marginalize Hindu. The rally repeatedly emphasized that 98% of Bangladesh's population is Muslim and argued that they want beef as part of their diet. However, certain Hindutva restaurants allegedly do not serve beef, which, according to the protesters, violates the rights of Muslim customers. Isn't that ironic? If beef is so essential, why not simply dine at restaurants that serve it? Why target establishments that choose not to include it on their menu? This logic defies reason. Forcing businesses to conform to dietary preferences under the guise of majority rights is not only oppressive but also undermines the basic principles of freedom and coexistence. It reflects an alarming trend of using religion as a weapon to marginalize minorities. This news from the Indian Textile Journal is sure to irritate the radicals in Bangladesh. It highlights a significant shift in the global garment industry that could leave Bangladesh's hardliners fuming. The report states that Surat's garment sector in India is expected to witness a 20 to 25% growth as major international brands, which previously relied on Bangladesh's garment industry, are now turning to India. Surat's garment industry, particularly known for its ethnic wear, kurtis, affordable women's dresses, and denim fabrics, is drawing attention from top global brands. These brands are inquiring about production capabilities and supply chains in Surat, and if these inquiries turn into orders, the sector could experience a massive boom. According to Ashish Gujarati, former president of the Southern Gujarat Chamber of Commerce, the ongoing civil and political chaos in Bangladesh has prompted many brands to reconsider their supply chains. While smaller companies have already started placing orders, larger brands shifting their business to Surat could significantly boost the city's textile industry. This development underscores how instability in Bangladesh is opening opportunities for Indian industries, particularly Surat, to thrive on the global stage. Tamil Nadu's Tirupur is a hub for garments and textile industries. The recent coup and unrest in Bangladesh have driven many international brands to turn towards Tirupur. Take a look at this article from the Tirupur Exporters Association. The headline reads, Tirupur textile industries boom amid Bangladesh unrest, indicating a significant surge in Tirupur's textile industries amidst the turmoil in Bangladesh. The article explains that after nearly 2 years of slowdown, Tirupur's garment industries have witnessed a revival in recent months, thanks to orders from the US and the UK. The political unrest in Bangladesh has directly benefited Tirupur, as brands that previously placed orders with Bangladeshi garment factories are now turning to Tirupur manufacturers. According to M. Subramanian, president of the Tirupur Exporters Association, UK importers are awaiting the implementation of a free trade agreement between India and the UK, expected to take effect early next year. Meanwhile, orders for the spring season from the US have already started coming in. As a result, manufacturing units that were operating at only 60-65% capacity a few months ago are now running at higher capacities. Many American vendors who earlier sourced garments from Bangladesh are now turning to Indian vendors. Tirupur's garment industries generated a revenue of 35,000 crore rupees in the financial year 2024, and projections suggest this figure could reach 40,000 crore rupees next year. This news report from the New Indian Express, dated 3rd November, highlights the unrest in Bangladesh and the resulting benefits for Indian garment exporters. Here's what it says: in the first 6 months of this financial year, India's garment exports recorded an 8.5% increase. In contrast, during the same period last year, garment exports had seen a 15% decline. In September alone, there was a 17.3% growth. Due to the turmoil in Bangladesh, garment exports to the US fell by 11% between January and June this year. During the same period last year, this figure stood at $3.82 billion, but this year it dropped to just $3.40 billion. From September to December, the situation in Bangladesh has remained unchanged. Look at this report from the Dhaka Tribune, dated 12th December, today. In Ashulia, 12 more factories have shut down. Beximco, Bangladesh's largest textile company, which operates the country's biggest textile park, is also in dire straits. According to a report by Textile Insights, Beximco is struggling significantly. Over 170 large manufacturing plants in Bangladesh lack the funds or credit to procure raw materials. Among these, 23 units belong to Beximco, and the company has already closed all of them. In other words, the ship of Bangladesh's garment factories now has not one but hundreds of holes, and it is slowly sinking. Yet, the leaders who came to power after the coup continue to blame others instead of taking responsibility. Meet Sakhawat Hussain, Bangladesh's Labour and Employment Advisor. In the caretaker government, there are no official ministers. Responsibilities are handed out only in advisory capacities. For instance, Mohammad Yunus serves as the chief advisor, not the prime minister. Sakhawat Hussain, tasked with addressing the labor crisis in Bangladesh's ready-made garment industries and preventing factory closures, is instead pointing fingers at external forces for the chaos engulfing the garment sector.